Alright, so tonight I'm just going to be covering some viral trends and news articles that are happening currently on X. The first one is about NATO and the war that is currently happening in Iran with America and Israel.
So when President Trump is doing good stuff, I will praise him. And I don't mind him publishing text messages. And if anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You
Agreed.
can't.
They cannot.
We can't. We need each other. And why do we need each other? I tell you. First of all, because also the US needs NATO. And the US is not only in NATO to prevent a mistake after the First World War, not to re-engage with Europe. And then again, the long arm of history reaching out to the US again in the Second World War, as Churchill famously said in his speech in 1941 in the US Congress. They are also in NATO because for the US to stay safe, and by the way, Arctic region is evidence here, they need a secure Arctic, they need a secure Euro-Atlantic, and they also need to secure Europe. So the US has every interest in NATO as much as Canada and the European NATO allies. But for Europe, if you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are pleading for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros. You will lose then, in that scenario, you would lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedom, which is the US nuclear umbrella. So, hey, good luck.
So I think he's right to a degree. I think just from what I've seen, I think America probably needs NATO less than NATO needs America. I think America is quite capable of dealing with quite a lot more things than probably people realize. I mean, they do have the strongest military by far on the planet. That being said, I do think that geopolitical allies are always necessary. And again, the world is bigger than simply just individual countries, and it's good to have geopolitical allies. This is obviously in response to Trump saying this.
Done a great job. And when we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left.
Yep.
But they said, would rather not get involved. I just want the fake news media and everybody else to remember that was said, because I've been a big critic of all of the protecting of countries, because I know that we'll protect them, and if we ever needed help, they won't be there for us. I've just known that for a long period of time. Just like I knew about the Strait, that it would be a weapon.
Yeah, I think it's a shame. I think people have rested too much on their laurels when it came to America, and I think they've done it obviously for far too long, probably especially in Europe and the UK and stuff like that, where they've always seen America as this dominant superpower. So the mentality is obviously, well, because they're so strong, they don't need our help. I think that's almost like a cope for the sake of, well, then we don't need to do anything because America will take care of it. I think that's incredibly, actually at the end of the day, that's selfish. That's self-centered, and having allies like that, man, who needs enemies, right?
I don't need your aircraft carriers after we've already won. So, those things are very disappointing. And you have to remember, we have 45,000 troops in Japan. We have 45,000 troops in South Korea. We have 45,000, 50,000 troops in Germany. We defend all these countries. And then, do you have any minesweepers?
Something so simple, yeah.
And they say, well, would it be possible for us not to get involved? I've been saying it for a long time. don't need your...
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty underhanded, really. But I do think it is, once again, it's important to have allies. But there has to be some kind of agreement that you can reach. I mean, being part of NATO, you would have reached an agreement in any case. You know, you help out where you can, and when you're called upon to help out, you do so. That's why you have allies, right? But, and this ties up into it, you've got people like this, for instance, Sadiq.
It is difficult to be a Muslim in 2026.
Look here, look.
Go for me.
Look. God, he's got a knife.
Whether you're in London, in other parts of the UK, in Europe, or across the world.
Go.
Idiot. You fucking idiot. You burn the Quran.
Go. He's got a knife as well.
So you've got people like this because of policies from leftist, communist, socialist, Marxist, whatever you want to call them, governments that have allowed people like this to come into countries where there's a cultural clash, a religious clash, and you can kind of see why. Well, we'll get into it after.
Oh, you got a knife, man.
Trying to cower us and scare us to be less Muslim, to be less Islamic, to make us scared,
It's such a cope.
to put our head above the parapet.
Man,
fucking idiot.
Wait, don't come to me.
Go for me.
Listen, I'm just filming,
Burn
yeah?
the Quran.
No, you shouldn't be. Listen.
My religion. My religion.
That's right. That's what they do. So you've got policies that have happened because of people like this, that have allowed immigrants to come in, illegal immigrants, immigrants with different cultures to the prevalent culture in these Western countries. They've created their own problem. This is why you've got NATO here rejecting Trump when he asks for assistance, because they know they have to pander to their Muslim audience. They have to pander to their now new voting bloc because of remigration, because of replacement migration. They've got to now pander. So they've, in a sense, they're rejecting assisting at their allies because they've decided to, for all obvious reasons, although it doesn't really make sense, but it's clear that they've chosen new allies, i.e. the Muslims. You can see it in the two-tier policing. You can see it in all the government grants. You can see it in how they treat people in Europe, their own citizens, versus how they treat these new immigrants. It seems like there is quite a lot of preferential treatment when it comes to Muslims. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to come to the conclusion, well, if it looks like they favor them over their civilians, over their own citizens, well, gee, maybe they do favor them more. Why is that? Well, it's clear that they've got their own agenda that they're attempting to push. It's clear that, sorry to say it, would that not be considered a traitor? So then moving on, you've got Joe Kent. He was the director of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, who has just resigned effectively as of today. I'm not going to read the whole letter. I think this pretty much sums it up. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Just the fact that, they wanted to build nuclear weapons. And it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. And again, you can go search it yourself. Donald Trump made clear mention that if anybody forced anybody's hand, it was America that forced Israel's hand into this war. And again, war is a bit of a interesting one in this scenario. It is to destroy weapons, to hinder a crazy terrorist regime from building nuclear weapons. A terrorist regime who has a long history of attacking the West. A terrorist regime who has got a long history of oppressing and killing their own people. But I suppose people want to see what they see. And in response to this person posted, "Here is your post from 2024 in which you said Iran has been trying to kill President Trump since 2020. Today in your resignation letter you said Iran poses no threat to the US. There you go." So this is Joe Kent's post from 2020. Iran has been after Trump since January of 2020, after he ordered the targeted killing of the terrorist Qasem Soleimani. So you've always got to connect the dots. Joe Kent was like this in 2020. It seemed like he was quite secure in his convictions about Iran being a hostile force, shall we say, to the West. Now all of a sudden, 6 years later, I suppose not all of a sudden, a lot of time happens. You've got the same man now resigning because he doesn't see Iran as an imminent threat. Yet again, all the war, all the terrorist attacks, all the human rights violations that they've done to their own people. It's almost the same as just looking at Candace Owens there. Your Candace Owens, your Tucker Carlsons of the world, how their story changes all of a sudden. They've got very strong stances against these types of people. And then over time, and quite drastically, they all of a sudden change. Why is that? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to answer the question. Clearly, they've chosen allegiances. Clearly, and probably more than likely, money's involved. Then you've got stuff like this. Apparently this is considered misinformation. Yet, if anything, it does seem like a certain group of people is known for doing terrible things to churches. That's just a recent example. So this is a church in the Netherlands that was set on fire by Muslim migrants. I know this is considered as misinformation and false claims and all that kind of stuff. And whether or not this one is true or not, there's been a long history of Muslims doing far worse things than setting fires to churches historically. You can go look at the medieval ages, the Middle Ages, what actually started the Crusades, for instance. I decided to go to, because they criticized this ex-account Radio Genoa for having this as false misinformation. And then I found all this stuff on here, and you're kind of like, there does seem to be a trend with a certain, shall we say, demographic, certain religion that tends to be very hostile towards Western civilization and Western citizens. Here's one of the many examples. And then this is when bad Australian patriots, or bad patriots in general, decide to stand up for it. And yet it's weird because it's always the patriots that are considered the hateful ones. They're always considered the aggressors. Yet this is why I maintain all of these are really just acts of defense. The people that have come into the countries because of the stupid policies that have allowed them to come in, those are the ones that attacked first. Those were the ones that threw the proverbial punch first. This is simply standing up against it. Yet standing up against it is considered hate speech, is considered bigoted, is considered absolutely terrible. And you've got so many of these things that just carry on and on and on. And it's, how long do you allow this to carry on in your country before you make a stand? And it's almost considered inconceivable for you to make a stand with these people, because as soon as you do, it's considered hate speech. It's considered intolerant. You must accept. This is, in a sense, exactly what they want you to become.
Kiss it. Put the boots right there. Put your everybody. Right. Put your boots right there. There you go. There you go. You gotta stay focused. There you go.
Gotta stay focused.
Go ahead. Hey, what's your name? White America. Come on. Now we got the kindness. You got 2 more things you gotta do, okay? Come on, come on, I believe in you. Come on. Here, you got more work to do, all right? Go right there. Come on. Come on. Come on, you got focus. Focus. Right here.
Focus.
Focus.
This is considered the only behavior that you can do. This is considered the only response to what's happening to the West that will be tolerated from mainstream media, will be tolerated from all the politicians and the talking heads and all the institutions and all of academia. This is the only response. Yet it's always interesting, if you flip this around and all the black people were there and they were white, and that was a white person that's now black, that would be a hate crime. That would be a crime against humanity according to these people.
Finish the job. This man right here. Get down, all the way, same thing. Just like my king. Just like my king. He may make you bow down.
Does this make you feel better?
Absolutely.
Will this make you feel better? I don't know. I honestly, I'm not too sure what to say regarding these things. It's almost like it's gotten to the stage where if you can't see it, I think you've become so brainwashed and so deluded that maybe it would be better for you just to think like that. The thing is, I know that there's a lot of people that can't, and they can't mentally get there because it's lunacy. I think for some people it's, you know, calling them racist is probably just the worst thing in their brain. Probably just the worst thing in your brain is for you to be labeled racist. Especially when you know you're not. But of course, I know these kind of people. They're convinced that they are. And if you've got the same pigmentation on you that they do on them, and you choose to reject that narrative, that proves to them that you are the racist. When you know that you're not. But it's their perception. And according to their perception trumps your reality. These are the same people that do this. So I saw this one. I saw this one next as well. So you've got this woman getting attacked by a dog because she's pretending to be one, right? She's like... And I can 100% guarantee that that would be the same kind of woman that would be doing exactly what that other woman was doing. Also, kissing the feet of other people that have got a darker pigmentation on them than she does. Because once again, she's clearly attempting to be a dog, but that dog is definitely not racist. And so lastly, we've got good old Jake Munro, who pretty much sums the whole thing up.
Whenever the left and wokeism and DEI, whenever that shit is completely crushed and destroyed and expelled, and asylums are back, and all these leftists are put into asylums or through rigorous fucking therapy or electrotherapy or something. If someone comes along and they're like, I'm gay, also more Muslims please, there's like, okay, so you're fucking retarded, so mental asylum for you, so you can figure out why those two things don't fucking coexist and can't possibly coexist. Once we get to that society, once we get to a conservative majority society again, and leftism is just seen as a mental illness, it'll be in the history books. It's like way back in 2020.
And if we had to be honest, society is coming to the stage where everybody knows that leftism is a mental illness. Marxism, leftism, it's, you can only push the majority too far. The majority of the West I'm talking about now, Western civilization. You can only push people too far before they're like, okay, you've had your fun leftists. You've had your fun socialists. Enough is enough. We can't carry on with this anymore. I mean, we've had it. We've had it in South Africa for 32 years now. And enough is enough. It's too much. And I know that there's a lot of people that are waking up. I don't necessarily know that there's enough time to course correct it. The rot has gone pretty deep, to be sure. But people have definitely come to the realization that enough is enough, and the left has had their fun. They've crippled societies, they've crippled the West, and something has to give. Something has to give. And historically, it always happens.
People thought men could be women. And I don't mean like pretend to be. I mean legit, actually are biologically as woman as any other. And they're going to be reading this in 2136 and just be like, whoa, fuck, people are retarded. But then, you know, society is going to revert back to normality. And I know it's going to revert back to normal because the only other option we have as a society is to fucking blow up. And look, it's not going to be atheism that fucking unites this new society of like hyper conservative people. It's going to be Christianity. And I'm fine with that.
It has to be.
I don't need to be
It
like, well,
has
as
to
long as
be.
the new society is secular. It's like, well, obviously secularism didn't fucking work.
No, it's
Did
been
it?
tried.
I've
It's been
come to
tried.
terms with the fact that this new conservative society that it saves humanity and puts these barking, gender-confused psychopaths into asylums where they can be rehabilitated.
It
I
has to.
fully understand this
I
new
think,
society is going to be a Christian one.
Based and could not agree more. It has to be. We've tried the whole secularism thing. We've tried the whole atheism thing. Hell, I mean, we've got so many soft, spineless Christians these days who've actually given people, atheists, a pass for so long. You have to come to the terms as atheists. Eventually, you can see there's really two competing major religions in the world: Christianity and Islam. Atheism was formed out of the Enlightenment. It's a measly 400 years old. We're talking about religions that have been around 2,000 years for Christianity and 1,600 years for Islam. 1,400, 1,600, somewhere around there. If you can consider it a religion, it's really more akin to Satanism, I suppose. But the age of the atheist, it's wearing out. You guys have tried and you guys have failed. And I know that there's a lot of, there's a few, shall we say, conservative atheists, but they still hold to Christian values. The predominant atheist view is far more on the left, far more socialist, far more Marxist, far more, and I do know, weirdly, these are the ones I really don't understand, is the Christian socialist, Marxist, leftists, and sure, they can butcher Bible verses and stuff like that, but the Bible doesn't teach Marxism. The Bible doesn't teach socialism. They can say whatever they want and they can obfuscate and they can try and make a square fit into the shape of a circle if they want, but it doesn't work. But it comes down to, the age of the atheist is over. They've tried, they failed, and it's time to get back to Christianity. Or, if you don't want Christianity, go ahead, choose Islam. Go ahead and choose that insane devil-worshipping religion. And then, we'll see what happens. Anyway, folks, that's all I got. Check you on the next one. Cheers.